stupid, but really it's the most important. You know, Kobe was big on that as well, like details. He's 100%. Like, nah, like all the greatness comes from the people who obsess over details. And so like that already I can see out of you and Manning and a lot of the people that have been coming on this show. It's like they're just really big on like those really, really small things. So that's huge. Just the fact that you were willing to wipe down the machines and actually do those little things. I do also want to come back even further though, because I can't allow you to kind of like, you know, jump over this. And I think a lot of young men could probably learn from this in ways that you have. You grew up without a father in your life. And as you told me, he was in prison. How did this affect you and your relationship with your own mother? I mean, obviously, do you have siblings that were maybe around that helped you, you know, come along? Or was this more of like you had to figure out on your own?
So my little brother came when I was 13. Okay. So I was already in high school. I was already starting to play sports and things like that. Yeah. And then he was born. But for 13 straight years, it was just me and her. I never thought I would have a little brother. Like
just you and your mom?
Just me and my mom. My grandma was around, but it was just me and her. And it's funny you say that because as I got older, like you start to realize how like they pulled the impossible.
Right.
Like now as I get older, I'm like, how? I'm like, how did you have time to do anything? My mom actually she's in my program, obviously nonstop. But my mom, she does it over and over again. But I asked her one day, I'm like, like, she actually has like one of the best transformation, but it's obviously because she's done like 20 times.
Hey, shout out to her,
man. But it's funny because it's like, I asked her, I'm like, yo, how did you work out like back then?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I didn't have to, like, I woke up, unless I would have went at 4, but I would still had to leave you home alone, so I couldn't do that. I would take you to school, I would go to work. After practice, I would come back after work, and after hours practice, she would come back and pick me up. So now it's like 6 p.m. You come home, you got to feed me, you got to make sure you do all the mom stuff, you got to clean. There was no time to take care of yourself, to pour into yourself. There was none of that.
Exactly.
But the best thing I learned about it was like, there was no excuses for her. Like, this is my job, this is what I have to do, and this is what I'm going to do. So those like that big lesson that I got to learn from my mother as like being a single mom, not just like raising a kid. It was just like, when you put your back against the wall and you tell yourself there's no excuses, this has to get done, which people start to do. When people have that feeling in a business, your business becomes successful when you say, hey, I have no choice. So for example, like we talked about before we started the cameras rolling, I stopped working in the NBA for this exact same principle. For my business to go to where I know it's capable of going, I have to be all in on it. I can't sit back and knowing I got this NBA safety net, this paycheck coming in every month that like, if I don't go do what I'm supposed to do, my life is not going to change.
True.
But by not doing that, I'm not changing the lives I'm supposed to be changing. So I had to put myself in a position. I think I take that from, growing up with a single mother.
Did she kind of expect you to kind of like grow on your own, or like, I mean, obviously there's a point where you leave your mom, you're like, hey mom, I gotta go live, this life that I want for myself. Now, was there like, a mentor outside of your mother that kind of like, because obviously you saw a life that you were like, man, I'm better than this. I can be more than the personal trainer. So was there like a man in your life that you were like, no, I want that. Yeah. That's what I want, I
think I've had multiple people, like my college coach, like I've had a couple mentors that just started slowly leaving me rich dad, poor dad, like it's like little certain things that people have left along the way. And I just kind of put it all together, and I'm like, I don't have to just be this. True. I can do something that is extraordinary and and not just something I'm forced to do. So, but for the most part, it was just me and her, and I was always a kid looking out the window, looking at everybody else do stuff with their dad, and that was just me like, well, I'm just gonna go play video games, but I never really had that growing up.
That's hard. I can't honestly lie to you and relate to that. I had a father growing up, so like, it's one of those things I don't take for granted. I've had kids come into my dad. My dad's a physician, and people come in the office and they're like, man, I just love spending time with your dad. And they're like, don't lose that because, they don't have the same, things growing up. So it's one of those things I don't take for granted, but I'm always confused about, and I want to know like how you got to this point without that figure. Because sometimes I wonder about myself, like, hey, who would I be without having that figure in my life? And the fact that you found sports, and so did Manning. Manning had a father figure, but he found sports as well. It's interesting how sports can mold people in a certain way, and turn you into what you are now. Let's talk about college, because this is a big topic right now. And obviously, you stuck with what you were studying in college, right? Now there's this big thing on college right now where it's like, no one needs college. You don't need college. What's your take on college today? Seriously, I feel like this is a big one. So right into the fire. Sorry.
I'll just be honest. If I wasn't a college basketball player,
cool.
and I didn't go for free, and I didn't understand the value of being able to interact with others and like communication and building friendships, I don't believe in it. The reason being, for most people, what you want to do and what I do now has nothing to do with the 6 years I went to school.
Interesting.
Now, what has helped me is the people I've met along the way that have helped me get to where I want to get to. My college basketball coach has done a lot for me by putting me in a position to go to grad school, by knowing people. So, because I always tell, like, if you want to be, let's say you want to be a construction, what makes more sense? To go learn about business and real estate and things like that, or go get into the field at 18 years old and truly learn? Because I've always had this theory of, if you go learn about business, a lot of times you're getting taught by a person who's never built a business. And that's my biggest thing on a lot of things that happen in universities is, how can somebody teach you something that's never actually done it?
True.
And that's my own concern. So, but in terms of understanding structure, in terms of all, if you don't know that, I think it's a great place. But if you understand structure, if you understand how to meet and network with people, I don't understand the importance of putting yourself $80,000 to $100,000 in debt to go do something that you can get into the field and run right away and get the actual experience.
I'll take that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, you seem like you're pretty good at networking already. Do you think those skills got built in college, or do you think
100%? And that's what I'm saying. Like 100%. When you're I was forced to hang out with people, get to know my teammates. I was forced to go to Europe. I'm not forced, but I went to Europe, and these are grown men I'm playing with, 33, 35 years old at the time. I'm like 22, and they have kids and a family, and I have to make conversations and things like that. So I've been put in situations that have helped me with team, like you brought up earlier, like being around a team, that has made me okay with reaching out to somebody and just saying, hey, let me ask them, like we spoke. It's kind of like, so if you don't have that, I think college can help you out with that.
Yeah.
But if you already have that type of, you understand that your parents brought you up in a certain way where they force you to go meet people, they put structure in place for you, you understand how business works. At the end of the day, business is finding a problem and solving it.
Yeah.
So if you can go out in the market and you can find a problem and you can solve it, and you put a price in between it, you just created a business.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I think that is important. If you don't go to college, you must understand that.
I always thought it was football that broke my kind of like social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
There was a specific day too. I'll say this publicly. I don't mind. Mm-hmm. But I remember going to college and being very nervous, being around a locker room for the first time of men, and I was just like, oh man, I'm still, like you were saying, a 22-year-old, 19-year-old, but we got drug tested. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but when you get drug tested in the NCAA, they make you drop your pants and line up with a bunch of other men, and they come up to you with a cup, and they reach around and they're like, hey, like, you gotta take a piss test. And so that episode of sitting there with my pants down in the middle of a room with a bunch of men and then them laughing about it was like this weird, like, broken social anxiety thing where I was like, fuck it, like, this is it. This is the bottom. What else is there to be nervous about?
100%.
And then college football just kind of broke it all. And then getting into the real world, I felt like it made it easier just to be like, okay, this is who I am. There's nothing to hide anymore. It is what it is. I want to talk to these people. And I just kept doing that over and over again. But it's interesting to hear your take on that and how you became, kind of good at networking in your own rights. I do want to move into the gym now because we've talked about this being your sanctuary. Yep. Okay. And this is, like I said, we're at that 20-minute mark. So now I'm going to just dive into the topics.
Do it.
I brought you here because you've been in this industry for so long. And I want to know, do you feel as if the gym culture today that you live in, that I live in, is becoming almost framed as toxic? And what are your opinions on that in this atmosphere that we live in today?
So it's two sides of the coin. The reason I'm going to speak on two sides of the coin is because I experienced what it's done for me.
Awesome.
So I experienced, like, a lot of people in there, I look at it like you could be in the darkest place and this is your 45 to 60 minutes where you get to pour on yourself.
Right.
Like, one thing I really, really despise when I go to the gym and I just see people just constantly texting, watching on Instagram, watching videos. And I'm just like, yo, this is the time that is for you. Like, nothing matters at this moment besides investing in you, because if you can't pour into your own cup, it's impossible to pour into somebody else's cup.
Okay.
So that's that side of the coin where I look at it like that. The flip side is social media is at another level than it's ever been, and that creates that constant looking at somebody else and wanting this and wanting that, and you're putting yourself in a toxic, type of situation where, especially with the steroid culture, people are doing different things and you're looking at like you have no chance unless you're willing to do what that person's doing. And that person's not telling you what they're doing. And you're just looking at their physique, constantly trying to compare yourself.
Right.
So that side of the coin, I think it just depends on, how you look at it. So it can be extremely toxic if you look at it from that way, constantly comparing yourself and realizing like, I'm never going to be like this person or that person. And you're just continuously putting yourself in a depressing place.